Okay, well, just coming out from a mountaintop experience with Prophet Abia, and those of you that are watching, I'm sure you were also blessed. But let's come talk about how to move forward. Investment. We're looking at the second Ogun State Investors Forum. It was initiated by the current administration in 2012, targeted at existing and prospective investors and business operators where issues relating to investment, entrepreneurship, housing, business incentives, taxes, tariffs, land acquisitions, and all the works are discussed. Economic policies and conducive business environments are also sought after. Now, prompted with a mission to improve on the last edition of the Investors Forum, they've come up with this one to chart a course for moving forward after the discussions of last year, an assessment of what it was like, what it's been like since the last Investors Forum, and then moving forward. That's what we'll be looking at today as we look at the Ogun State Investors Forum. Have in the studio Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, who's the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce and Industry. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my bad. Say ladies first.
I was about to smack you, but that's all
Hold
right.
on, hold on.
After the match.
After the match. All right, also here is Mrs. Oluwande Moyo, Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Chairman of the Planning Committee of the State Investors Forum. Thank you for coming. And Mrs. Jumoke Akinwumi, Special Assistant to the Governor and General Manager, Ogun State Housing Corporation. Thank you for coming, ladies. So, we introduced you first, right?
Yes.
So we can keep quiet for now. let's we'll start up with the ladies. What informed the decision to start the Investors Forum in the first place?
Okay, this administration, we set out on a mission to rebuild Ogun State. And that mission is premised on 5 cardinal programs. Affordable qualitative education, efficient health care delivery, agriculture that will lead to industrialization, affordable housing and urban renewal, and rural and infrastructural development. So as part of our mission to rebuild, we saw a need to involve the private sector in the development because the government cannot do it on its own. This platform is a platform to let the public, the investing public, know the abundant opportunities that exist in Ogun State. So that's what informed the Investors Forum. So we had our first edition in 2012, and it's something we do every 2 years. So this is the second edition.
Okay, let me go to him. There were some incentives that were offered during that maiden edition of the Investors Forum. How have they helped in any way?
Yes, I'm happy to tell you that the incentives range from 5% to 80%. It depends on the kind of industry you want to do.
5% to 80% of
yes.
what?
For example, if you're going to agriculture,
in tariffs?
Yes. No, that's intensive. I mean, when you are going to buy lands and everything, those are the incentives that you get before you can come in. But I'm happy to tell you that after the Investors Forum, over 500 companies applied, both national and international. Wow. But what we're looking at is genuine investors because Ogun State is an alternative. It's a place where people want to be now. So what we've done is that we looked at those companies and we look at their immediate, their medium and long-term plans. And we're able to prune them down to probably, I'm happy to tell you that 46 companies have opened shops in the last 30 months. We have presently 17 companies that are in their various stages of construction, where they're going to do the commissioning of the factories. Okay. And we have about 30 genuine investors that is actually approved for land allocation. So what we're saying in a sense is that they've been able to see what we have in terms of mineral and natural resources in Ogun State and where we have comparative and competitive advantage over other states. And Ogun State is now where people want to be. And that is what we've been able to see. And then with that, the result of that Investors Forum, the last one we held, showed that people have been able to see what we have in terms of mineral and natural resources and the opportunities they have in Ogun State.
You sound like you're making progress, but you're not there yet. So what is left? What is missing?
Oh, no, it's not that we are not there. We are there. But the point is that we know that because Ogun State is now the hub of industrial states, in Nigeria. So what we're saying is that people are now coming in. Out of the 500, over 500 that requested, we look at them and find out that we want genuine, because people are now buying land for speculative reasons. I mean, if you buy land in Ogun State now, you are sure of your future. Are you getting my point now? So the point is that what we're now trying to say is that we are looking at genuine investors, people that will buy land and immediately start building, start the factory. Because the point is that we want to create wealth. We want people to start employing our people. And the only way you can do that is by buying land and start your process of construction. And I'm happy to tell you that.
But are there reasons for them to buy the land and start off immediately? Okay, if I do my feasibility studies and I say, oh, in 20 years, they probably won't have as much people as will buy my product. Why should I start building?
Oh, no. I can tell you that if you start your business in Ogun State, you are guaranteed minimum of 40 million customers. Because Ogun State is the gateway to Nigeria.
40 million customers?
Yes. We border Lagos, we border Ogun, and we border Ondo, Oyo, Osun, and the Benin Republic, the West African coast. So we are there. We are the, I mean, and presently, Ogun State has the largest concentration of industries in this country. Even it's been attested by the president himself. So the people, the incentives are there, and you are lucky because for example, if you are going into cement manufacturing, presently in this country today, there are 28.6 million cement that comes out in this country. 40 million is coming out from Ogun State.
Bags or tons?
Bags, yeah. Tons. And I'm talking about tons.
Okay.
40 million tons. They're coming out from Ogun State.
Can I mean, this just popped up from some of the questions I'm getting. You said, of course, Ogun State borders some of the states that you have mentioned.
Yes.
How about the road networks? Is it easy for these people to
Yes.
move and go?
And if you come to Ogun State...
Great conditions.
Yes. Well, I will tell you this. Ogun State presently is like a construction yard because we are talking about industrialization. If you don't have good infrastructure, there's no way, I mean, industries will thrive in Ogun State. And what have we done is by trying to create an enabling environment, good road network. I mean, because if you have these goods, how will they get to the final consumer? It is through the good road network.
Okay, let me ask you, investors also will have questions about the security of what they're investing in. Is that guaranteed to a large extent?
Security is a national problem.
That's true.
But in Ogun State, we have invested heavily in security. 3 years ago, there was a very great sense of insecurity. You had times when even banks could not open because of the siege of armed robbery. But since we've come in, we have invested in APCs and with the attendant equipment, radio equipment, and things that would help the police.
Did you say A or O?
Sorry, armored personnel carriers. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, it sounds like all progressives Congress.
Yes, I realized that.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, I'm talking of security armored personnel carriers, which have been stationed all over the state to make it easy to deploy in the event of, armed robbery.
Unforeseen circumstances.
Unforeseen circumstances, exactly. And then we have a lot of vans, Hilux vans with communication equipment. So all of that has, over the years, has helped to reduce significantly the level of insecurity. And so people, I mean, in the past, people couldn't even go out at night. Now it's, smooth and very secure. It's just getting much better. But I just wanted to add to the fact to what. Okay, sorry. Let me.
No, go ahead.
Just add to.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to talk about the industry. You talked about the road network being very good. This investors forum, we're focusing on agriculture and urban development, and because of the road network, it's much easier to move the agricultural produce to the final consumer. And we're also saying that there's a market for housing because, like he has pointed out, we are very close to a very large market, which is Lagos. And Lagos has restrictions or it has a limit to the expansion that can go on there. Having housing for the people working in Lagos State. So the natural place for people to live, and it's happening already, is Ogun State. Yeah. So there's opportunity there's a market for for houses, and because of the road network, there is more commerce that is happening in Ogun State. So the people making produce or producing goods and cash crops and and food crops, they don't have to actually invest so much money in transportation, because we have
you can also have a place to...
Yes, and we're also trying to ensure that those places where they produce are developed, so that we don't have this question of urban drift.
Yeah.
The rural areas, we're developing the rural areas so that people can actually want to stay, you know, because they have the infrastructure, they have the schools, they have the hospitals, they have the road network.
So it's a complete package. You can do absolutely everything you want, almost at the same location.
Yes, that is the
okay,
outlook.
Mrs. Akinwumi, this year's theme, agriculture and urban development, he's already mentioned that.
Okay.
Now, Ogun State, the new frontier.
Okay.
The issue of housing, she said something about a housing market.
Mm-hmm.
With all these things you're doing, opening up Ogun State, there will be an influx of people.
Mm-hmm.
They will need housing.
Mm-hmm.
They will need land.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the processes like? What's it like? What has it been like? And what are we looking at?
Okay. There was a reporter sometime last year about doing business in the different states in Nigeria. In that report, I believe Ogun State didn't have a great showing. But incidentally, only a few weeks ago in one of the national dailies was a report of the improvement of states. And Ogun State was one of the 3 states that was announced as having significantly improved with regards to the process of doing business, the key issues being with regards to buying land and getting title into land and getting planning approval. So I think that we're moving in the right direction in that regard. As far as housing is concerned, it is also, like security, a national problem. But Ogun State is poised to play a significant role in housing the majority. I mean, Lagos State, for example, would say that there are a population of about 20 million people. Even right now, Ogun State houses a significant majority, but what we're talking about now is a more holistic approach to housing in terms of, you know, master planning, urban development.
I was about to ask that
yes,
question.
and all integrated with the fact that there's an extensive drive to provide infrastructure. I mean, those 2 things actually do go hand in hand. And as we work in developing our infrastructure, it is easier to then talk about developing urban and suburban settlements to house the majority.
In fact, there's a research now that over 50% of Africans will be living in cities by 2035 or so. So you're playing a major role. I understand that. Do you have a long-term plan?
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of people with what they're listening to so far will start to flow and come into Ogun State. It's the prospect. Is there a long-term plan to make sure everything is orderly, done orderly, and then in the next 35 years, we won't be running back to our Lagos days?
No, that should not happen. And yes, there is a long-term plan. Urban planning is long-term. If you think about it short-term, then it will fail. Right. But there are 2 ways to go around it. You can decide that you want to have a holistic approach first and then start to tackle the developments in stages, or you can decide we'll start developments on a broader platform and then integrate this as we go along, which is perhaps the way to go in an environment where a lot of development has already happened without planning. We have to admit that. Okay. The best way to deal with this is to start tackling the different situations, but with an approach that we're going to put this all together, you know, as we go along. One of the programs that we initiated recently is a homeowners charter, which basically is a step in that direction, admitting the fact that development has happened without planning, but saying, look, there must be a solution to this, and the solution is to try and develop within the chaos that has happened.
Permit me to come in here. We're almost out of time, and I need to ask you, Chairman of the Planning Committee, this is the second edition, and there's a likelihood they're going to be seeing a whole lot of people coming into Ogun State, investors, and all. Are you looking at that, even with the security challenges in the country?
No, I mean, the whole essence of the Investors Forum, it's a forum geared towards investors, as the name implies. And what we expect is actually people who haven't, I mean, there are lots of investment destinations. We want to show the world that this Ogun State, if you're coming to Africa, you must come to Nigeria. And if it's Nigeria, then it's got to be Ogun State.
Wow.
Especially given that we have abundant land resources. You know, we have 16.4 million hectares of land. 70% of that is cultivable for agric. So there's just, the opportunities are there, and we need the world to see, and the investors, the people who are already investors in Ogun State, they can see that there is room to expand. And those that haven't, you know, just making sure that, you know, they're aware of what we have to offer.
Just because we're rounding up, like, how much do we need to invest? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are dying at home, right? How affordable is it?
No, it's the investment is dependent on your, as a company, what is your strategic plan? Okay. You know, if you've decided to take your factory out of wherever and you decide it's going to be Ogun State, then it's, you know, part of the plan. But we're talking major investments. Yes.
When is this forum? When is the forum? When
21st and 22nd. That's just next week, Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, next week, Wednesday and Thursday, Ogun State Investment Forum.
Okay.
June 12th, Cultural Center, just immediately after the stadium, right there.
Straight up, so it's an easy access for everybody?
On the boulevard, so you just see it right on the right.
Okay, let's just get this question out. In closing, and the three of you will comment on this, issue of taxation. The issue of taxation. What's your take on the exclusive right of the federal government over collection of value-added tax?
Well, I think the state government, they are the ones doing this work. I see no reason why federal government should be claiming that tax. But I mean, I'm sure the state governors are actually fighting for this, because we need to put so many infrastructure in place at the state level. Even as I'm talking to you, most of the roads we are fixing in Ogun State, some of them are federal roads. I mean, if you go to Ijebu, look at the flyover by Mobile Lufon. It's a federal government road. But we are doing that as a state government. So most of the
30 seconds. Go ahead. No,
I was just going to give information on, just for more information about the Ogun State Investors Forum, you can visit our website, ogunstateinvestorsforum.org, and then or phone 0809 1002400. I thought maybe since we're running out of time, it would be good for the people to know where to get more information.
So do you want to say
you
that again?
You can
website is ogunstateinvestorsforum.org, and the telephone number to call is 0809 1002400.
I'm sure it's ringing right now.
Okay, and that the website again is www.ogunstateinvestorsforum.org.
Yes.
The number again is
0809
009
100
100
2400.
2400 for all those that want to be a part of the Investors Forum. It's happening on the 21st and 22nd next week. June 12th Center. You have
June 12th Cultural Center.
Speakers, we have the former president of Mexico, Mr. Vicente Fox, as the keynote speaker, and we have Mr. Anton Rop, he's a former prime minister of Slovenia, also a lead speaker. So we have quite a large lineup of speakers.
Wow.
So I'm sure that will be good for everyone.
okay. So all roads lead to Ogun State next week, 21st and 22nd, June 12th, Cultural Center. Or for the Ogun State Investors Forum. The last year's edition they had for the 3 foreign investments, it's worth about $100 million. So I'm sure this year they're looking at it's a lot more than that. Okay, so this year they're looking at maybe 100 foreign investments worth about $200 million.
Maybe
well,
more.
don't forget that one of the largest American investments in Nigeria was about 300, which was just commissioned about 2 months ago, $300 million. So we are talking about, I mean, millions of dollars.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, Honorable Commissioner for Commerce and Industry. Mrs. Oluwande Moyo, Honorable Commissioner of Budget and Planning, Chairman of the Planning Committee of Ogun State Investors Forum, and Mrs. Jumoke Akinwumi, Special Assistant to the Governor, GM, Ogun State Housing Corporation. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, you'll find your way next week to Ogun State, but Sunrise will continue in a moment. Please do not go away.